Here, we're looking at the sample file that has every component from the Parallax Millwork library placed. If you want to make changes to a style project-wide in terms of the gaps or the style of features or hardware on a project, you know that you can go component by component and edit type. Once in the type properties, you can then change the features for all of the different features that are listed on all of the cabinets. So if we make all of these A2, and then also change the gaps to be 1/2 inch each, you'll see that this component has now been edited. If you want to do this project-wide, however, there are a lot of different types that you need to change. To assist with that, a dynamo graph has also been shipped with this library. While there's a lot going on in the graph, the only fields that you need to be concerned with are the ones at the beginning. This graph will go and grab every piece of the Parallax Millwork library that is currently loaded in your project, and it will search out these parameters and change them. So if you want to change all of the gaps to 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, you can also pick a style like A2 as we just did, and you can simply run the graph. When the graph finishes running, it will either say run completed or run completed with warnings. But you'll then notice that every component in the Parallax Millwork library has now been edited to show the A2 feature style as well as the 1/2 inch gaps. This can be useful for a number of things, including changing the style to reflect the actual design, or in some cases, just to change the gaps for rendering. For instance, it may be that you actually have no gaps in the project at all in terms of specifications and how you want the millwork to look in the drawings, like so. In this example, for instance, we've now put all the gaps back at 0, as you can see here. But maybe you want to change them to approximately 1/8 of an inch for use in a real-time walkthrough engine like Enscape or Autodesk Live. To do so, you can come back into this graph and simply change the gaps to 1/8 inch. Now, it may also be the case that in this particular project, you've already customized the feature types, so you don't want to overrun, for instance, the B1 glazing features with the style A2. So if you want to only use the gap functionality, you can simply right-click on this node of the graph and say freeze. Now you can run this graph, and the only thing it will actually change is the 1/8 inch gaps on all cabinets. As the run completes, you'll find that it left all of the feature types that were already present as they were, and we now have 1/8 inch gaps in between all of the features, which will allow shadows to actually propagate through the millwork the way they will in real life. This graph is just submitted for convenience with the Millwork library, and future versions of this graph may also include options to actually swap out things like the hardware and the backsplashes as well.